This video was sponsored by MacBook. Check out the video description to learn more. Hey, what is happening? This is Linus, you're watching TechLine, and today is going to be a little bit different video because I'm going to be talking about my MacBook Pro that I purchased back in 2017. That means that I've been using this machine every single day for video editing, web browsing, and all other stuff. Just before we start, Apple lovers, Apple haters, Windows lovers, Windows haters, go to the comment section down below and start that comment war. Tell me which system is better, which one you're using. So this is not going to be a full review, it's rather going to be my experience with this device, with this MacBook Pro 2017. And just before we start, I actually went to the US to buy this MacBook Pro because if you live in the EU and if you want to buy a maxed out version of the MacBook, you need to pay a lot for taxes. That means the MacBook Pro is going to cost you a lot more. That's why I went to the US, spent a week there, came back, and I still saved a few $100. Anyway, so this is going to be a video about pros and cons, about my experience, and the first thing that I love about the MacBook Pro 2017 or pretty much any other MacBook is the design and build. These are one of the best looking machines in my opinion. You might disagree with me. If you disagree, just go to the comment section down below and tell me. But I think these are really nice looking machines because we have all metal build, and both MacBooks that I have, the one that I've been talking in this video, 2017 model, as well as my previous MacBook, which was made back in 2012, held up really well over time. All the moving parts are working fine, except for one thing that I'll be talking in the cons section. Another pro is definitely the display, and I think it's really good for video editors like me because it's sharp, it's vivid, it's really bright. You can actually use this device even outdoors, which is not the case with a lot of different laptops. Since I'm shooting videos in 4K resolution, you can definitely appreciate that extra resolution this Retina, or some people say Retina, displays have. But anyway, whatever the marketing names are, this is a really good panel overall. To me, it's one of the best when it comes to laptop displays. I think that MacBooks are way superior to Windows machines when it comes to trackpads, their functionality, and that is thanks to no small part of interplay of hardware and software. I've been using the MacBook Pro 2017 edition, and previous MacBook Pro that I've been using was made back in 2012. And fun fact, all of the videos you see on my channel have been edited using only a trackpad. Believe it or not, I didn't use any external mouses. I've actually tried using Logitech MX Master 3 or whatever the name it is, and I came back to that trackpad because I'm just so used to it. I love how it functions in the Final Cut Pro. I love how it works browsing the web or doing any other stuff. One of the key reasons why I use a MacBook Pro machine is because of macOS, and also I'm a Final Cut Pro user, which is not available on Windows machines. So I love using MacBook Pro for Final Cut Pro, but also for just basic stuff, like browsing the web, browsing through the user interface, doing all the usual stuff, and usually the performance is really good. But what I've noticed recently is that something is hogging the memory. So my MacBook Pro has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and once I checked it, there was only 100 megabytes of memory left. So I immediately knew something was wrong. Once you are browsing the web, there are plenty of ads saying that, is your MacBook running slow? Click here to download and install this application to clean your MacBook. And you never want to do that because most of those apps are actually just clickbait and they are not safe. I mean, at least I don't trust them, and I only want to install some applications that are actually going to help. They are not malicious or unsafe to use. When MacPaw reached out to me with the offer to sponsor this video, I did research first about the company and the application, as I didn't want to install any malicious apps on my MacBook, and I can honestly tell you I love using Clean My Mac X. One of my favorite features, a quick access menu that, besides other stuff, shows the memory usage. Once I first installed the application, it showed that there was less than 100 megabytes of remaining memory out of 16 gigabytes, which is pretty ridiculous. The user interface of Clean My Mac X looks nice and clean. You can select either a smart scan or choose from plenty of different options that help you clean up, protect, speed up your Mac, and get rid of all unwanted junk. Clean My Mac X has become one of my favorite pieces of software that I can easily recommend to any macOS user. Check out the video description for the latest deals and offers. We finally reached a cons section where I'm going to be talking about shortcomings of the MacBook Pro after using it for almost 3 years. So number one shortcoming is poor battery life, and it was bad since the day one I started using it. First of all, it's nowhere near a 10-hour advertised battery life by Apple. I could get about 2 or 3 hours of using this machine, and once you start using a Final Cut Pro, expect this machine to shut itself off after about 1 hour. Another bad thing about the battery is that I got notification that you need to service the battery. That means I basically need to replace it. This is at least what Apple's software thinks. A fun fact is that I've been using the MacBook Pro 2012 model and I don't have this notification. That means, I don't know, maybe they use better battery cells or something like that, but this MacBook Pro is not good at all when it comes to battery life. Another con is the keyboard, butterfly keyboard to be more precise, and I'm so glad that Apple finally switched back to the previous generation keyboards and they are using them on the latest MacBooks. So if I'm going to upgrade, finally they are going to be using all style keyboards that are working fine. The butterfly keyboard on this MacBook Pro had been working fine for, I don't know, for a year or so, and then it started malfunctioning or sticking. For example, if you want to type letter A, you'll get 3 letter A's, or you hit the spacebar and it just gets stuck. You get the idea. The butterfly switches were not the best implementation by Apple, and I'm so glad that they switched back to older generation keyboards for the latest generation MacBook Pro. So if I'm going to upgrade, I'll be finally getting rid of those butterfly switches. The last flaw about the device is the touch bar. I mean, it really depends if you're using it or not. I'm not a big touch bar user and it actually gets in my way. I keep pressing those buttons accidentally and sometimes it freezes, sometimes it does not, and I just don't use it. So here's my take on the MacBook Pro 2017 edition after using it for almost 3 years. It's still a great machine even though it has its flaws. The main flaws are the battery life and bad keyboard. So here's my suggestion. If you're into MacBooks and if you like macOS and the entire ecosystem, you should definitely check all the reviews after the new product comes out, because other MacBooks don't have those issues. For example, the MacBook Pro 2020 edition with 16-inch display has an upgraded keyboard, which is actually an older generation keyboard. It doesn't have any battery or overheating issues, so it's much better than the 2017 model. At the end of the day, I'm not asserting that MacBooks are superior to Windows machines, but MacBook Pro is the right machine for me because I'm a Final Cut Pro user and I love macOS and I love the entire ecosystem. But if you're not into macOS ecosystem or the entire Apple thing, you should definitely go and check out some other Windows options that are also powerful. They are good for video editing, gaming, and etc. So tell me in the comment section down below, are you a macOS user or you are a Windows user? Which machine you like the most? And as always, like the video if you liked it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow me on social media, and as usual, it was Linus, thank you for watching and see you soon.